Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing a Ghostrick deck profile. So I'm really excited to you guys because this was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Tyler. And this deck is a absolutely crazy awesome deck that just got some amazing support out of Battle of Chaos to take this deck to a whole new level. We even got an insanely powerful new Link monster that helps out the deck a lot. I'm really excited to do this for you guys because you guys have been talking about this one a lot down in the comments recently, and this deck is just absolutely crazy. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name searched in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this, and definitely give Tyler some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're playing two copies of Ghostrick Siren. This card is absolutely insane and a really good card for this deck. So all of your Ghostricks share the ability that they cannot be normal summoned unless you control a Ghostrick monster. And then once per turn during the main phase, you can change this card into face down defense position. And then they also have the ability that basically when they're on the field, they gain additional unique effects. So this card's ability is if this card is normal summon or flip face up, you can send the top, or you have to send the top two cards of your deck to the graveyard. And then if either of them are Ghostrick cards, you apply one of these effects to add a Ghostrick spell or trap from your deck to your hand, or change one effect monster opponent controls into face down defense. That's really good because we got some insanely powerful spells and traps that we can actually add off the copy of Siren. We then play two copies of Ghostrick Mummy. Ghostrick Mummy is really good because this card actually gives you an additional normal summon, which is really nice for the deck because this card has the ability that while this card is facing on the field, you can normal summon one Ghostrick monster in addition to your normal summon or set, which is just really good for this deck to be able to go for your copies of Festival or even go in for an XZ play. We then play three copies of Ghostrick Jiangshi. Jiangshi is really good as well. This card is actually an insanely powerful searcher because it has the ability that when this card is flip face up, you can add one Ghostrick monster with a level less than or equal to the number of Ghostrick monsters that you control on your side of the field, which is a pretty good effect because basically if you control 4 Ghostrick monsters, you can add a level 4 or lower from your deck to your hand. But if you only control this monster, you can add a level 1 monster. That's kind of the way that the card works, which is really good because it can add a bunch of different Ghostrick monsters from your deck to your hand for any situation. We then play just a single copy of Ghostrick Fairy. I did actually consider playing two copies of Fairy because it has a really good effect that when this card is flip face up, you can target a Ghostrick card in your graveyard and set it to your field but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just grab any of the cards that you need from your graveyard and set them back to your side of the field. I really love that effect. We then play a single copy of Ghostrick Doll. Ghostrick Doll is a really neat card that has the ability that during the end phase, or when this card is flip face up during the end phase, you change as many face up monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position, and then you can special summon a Ghostrick monster from your deck in face down defense position whose level is less than or equal to the number of monsters flip face down by this effect, which is a kind of a neat effect that basically you can just flip any monster on the field face down and then basically special summon a Ghostrick from the deck. I love that ability. We then play three copies of Ghostrick Lantern. This card is an insanely powerful card that is going to protect you a lot, that has the ability that when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, or when a Ghostrick monster you control is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand in face down defense position, which is a pretty good effect to just negate the attack and be able to special summon this card to your side of the field to get in for all sorts of different plays, while also protecting your monsters. We then play three copies of Ghostrick Mary. Ghostrick Mary is a really good 3-up that has the ability that when you take damage, you can discard this card to be able to special summon any Ghostrick monster from your deck in face down defense position, which is pretty good because some of your field spells will actually let your opponent attack you directly. We then play just a single copy of Ghostrick Spectre, which is actually my favorite artwork of all of them. I just love this card so much, but it has the ability that when a Ghostrick monster, when a Ghostrick monster is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, or by battle with their attacking monster and is sent to your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand and face down defense position, and if you do, draw a card, which is pretty good to be able to get you a monster and get you a draw one. We then play three copies of Parallel Xyz. Parallel Xyz is really good in the deck because basically if you link summon into your copy of Ghostrick Festival, You can special summon out 2 of these to your side of the field to then go for your copy of Angel Mischief to get you a search and a copy of Angel Mischief on your side of the field, which is just really, really good to be able to summon them to your side of the field and go in for all those really, really good plays on your side of the field. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a 2 copies of Ghostrick Parade. Ghostrick Parade is really good for a field spell because this card has a really good effect that monsters cannot attack face down defense position monsters, but they can attack directly. And if all monsters your opponent controls are in face down defense position, your opponent takes no battle damage. Your opponent takes no damage. And when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can add a Ghostrick card from your deck to your hand, which is really good to add any Ghostrick card that you want when you get attacked directly. It's just a super good effect, but you kind of got to watch out for this card because you will take full damage off this card, which is a little bit of a bad thing, but you have a lot of cards to protect you like Lantern and stuff like that from getting attacked directly and losing the game. We then play a single copy of Ghostrick Mansion. Ghostrick Mansion is really good because you can tag out your copy of Parade with your copy of Ghostrick Renovation, which is just a super good card to be able to go in for. But this card has the ability that monsters can't attack face down defense position monsters, but can attack directly if all monsters their opponent control are face down in defense position. And all effect damage and battle damage inflicted by monsters other than Ghostrick monsters is halved, which is a pretty good thing to be able to basically make it so your opponent has to do 16,000 points of damage to be able to completely end out the game. We then play 3 copies of Ghostrick Shot. This card is absolutely insane and the newest spell card that we've gotten for this deck. It's a really, really good card that lets you special summon a Ghostrick monster from your hand or graveyard, and then you can change one face down Ghostrick monster you control to face up attack position. And you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target a Ghostrick XZ monster you control and attach a Ghostrick card from your graveyard to that monster as a material, which is a really good effect to be able to use to be able to get that material, be a monster born. This card literally does it all and is really just speeds the deck up to be able to get into all those plays because you can summon any Ghostrick into face down defense, link it away for your copy of Festival, activate this, and then get the Ghostrick that you set right back on the field and then use its effect to flip it face down, which already gets you set up with a copy of Festival and a really, really good play depending on the other cards that you have in your hand. This card is really, really good and a definite 3-up. So that's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Ghostrick Knight. Ghostrick Knight is a great 1-up. I don't really feel like you need any more than 1 copy of this card because it's so searchable in the deck and it has the ability that while a Ghostrick monster is on the field, your opponent cannot flip summon any of their monsters, which is pretty good. So basically once you put them face down, they cannot flip them face up, which is just really, really good for this deck. And when this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, your opponent cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn, which is pretty good, especially if they out this card. They're basically not going to be able to attack, which is going to give you an extra layer of protection. We then play a single copy of Ghostrick Renovation. This card is really good because it lets you basically replace the field spell on your field with another one from the deck, which is just super, super good to be able to basically interchange those field spells out for any of the ones that you need in any situation. We then play 2 copies of Ghostrick Retreat. This card is a 2-of to me. You can play it at 3, but I like it as a 2-of because it has the ability that if you control a Ghostrick field spell or a Ghostrick link monster, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and your opponent can pay 2,000 life points to make this card's effect set this card instead of sending it to the graveyard after activation. Otherwise, for the rest of the turn, that face-up monster cannot attack, its effects are negated, and also it's changed face-down defense during the end phase. This card is such a powerful trap card, but it's so searchable that I ended up just playing 2 copies of it. We then play 2 copies of Needle Sealing. Needle Sealing is really good in any Ghostrick deck. It's one of the best cards in the deck because it has the ability that you can only activate this card when there are 4 or more monsters on the field and you destroy all face-up monsters on the field. But since we're playing Ghostrick, the majority of the time, all of our cards are going to be face down. We then played 2 copies of Lost Wind. I really like this card in the deck, and it was actually Tyler who suggested this to me, so shoutouts to Tyler. And it's a really, really good card that has the ability that you can target a face-up special summon monster, target one face-up special summon monster on the field, and negate its effects. And also, its original attack is halved, and if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's graveyard or from your opponent's extra deck, while this card is in the graveyard, you can set this card back to your field but banish when it leaves the field. Really good card effect because basically with this card, you're going to be be able to activate it once and get one of your opponent's monsters attack points down a little bit, while also being able to stop a monster effect. Since this deck doesn't really play hand traps, it just focuses on traps. This card is a really good card to be able to replace like an effect veiler, and it's just super good because you get 2 uses out of it as well, and puts one of your opponent's monsters at a little bit less attack points, so when they do eventually attack you directly while you have one of your field spells on the field, you don't take crazy damage. We then play 2 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. Dogmatic Punishment is really good in this deck because it has the ability that you get to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, send a monster from your X deck with higher attack from your X deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that monster, which is a really good effect in this deck because a lot of your Ghostrick cards have the ability that when they touch the graveyard from the anywhere, they will actually get you a different effect from the extra deck monsters, which is a really good effect to be able to just basically stop opponent's play. But the only downside of this card is it does stop you from going into the extra deck until the end of your next turn, which is again not that big of a deal in Ghostricks because you have plenty of really good main deck plays that you can go into instead of extra deck plays. We then play 3 of the most insane trap card in this deck, and that is 3 copies of Ghostrick Scare. This card is absolutely nuts. You target any number of face down defense position monsters that you control, change them into face up defense position, and then count the number of Ghostrick monsters among them. And if you do, change face up monsters your opponent controls into face down defense position equal to the number you flip face up. So for example, if my opponent pendulum summons for 5 and I have this face down and I have 5 Ghostricks, I can activate this and flip every one of my Ghostricks face up, which will activate their effects, and then flip all my opponent's monsters face down, which is really good because then later on, if I search Ghostrick Knight, I can actually make it so my opponent's monsters stay face down and then they really can't do all that much and I win the game. So this card is a insanely powerful 3 of in the deck, and plus it has Best Boy Spectre on it. We then play 3 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. This card is my personal tech of the deck. I love this card. It helps me out so many different powerful link monsters because this deck does have a little bit of a problem outing link monsters. So this card really helps out because it has the ability to target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your field, but its effects are negated. Then you can manage one monster from both players' fields that have the same type as each other. This card is really, really good to be able to out cards like Dragoon, any link monster that your opponent might summon to their side of the field. And it's really insane to be able to activate this card after your opponent's activated the effect of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, because you can actually grab the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer out of the graveyard and put it on your field so they don't get it back again, which is really, really awesome. I really love this card, and it is a great 3 of in this deck. It's hands down, in my opinion, one of the best trap cards ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Ghostrick Festival. Ghostrick Festival is really a crazy good card. I almost wanted to play 3 copies of this card, but I really just settled on 2 because the extra deck is a little bit tight, but it has the ability that it takes 1 non-link Ghostrick monster to be able to summon this card. And you can also use face-down Ghostrick monsters you control as material to link summon this card. And this card, or to link summon this card, which is just so good to be able to just link summon this card by setting a Ghostrick and then linking it away for this card. It also has the ability that when a Ghostrick card is in the field spell zone, your Ghostrick monsters can attack directly. That is a really powerful effect to be able to attack instantly directly, which is just super good to close out games. And it also has the ability that when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can tribute this card to be able to special summon a Ghostrick monster from your deck in face down defense position, which is super good because it basically just special summons out any Ghostrick that you need off this card's effect. We then play 2 copies of Angel of Mischief. Angel of Mischief is a really good card that you can detach a material in this card to add any Ghostrick spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and you can also XZ summon this card on top of any Ghostrick XZ monster, which is really, really good, basically like a Utopia the Lightning. We then play 2 copies of Ghostrick Alucard. Ghostrick Alucard is a really, really good 2 of. I did consider playing it at 1 to play the 3rd copy of Festival or a single copy of Elder Entity Nis for the Dogmatic Punishment, but I ended up playing 2 copies of it because it has the ability that your opponent cannot target other Ghostrick monsters or face down defense position monsters for attacks. And you can detach a material from this card and then target a set card your opponent controls and destroy that target. And here's where the Dogmatic Punishment comes in really handy. It has the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one other Ghostrick card in the grave and add it to your hand. That is a really powerful card effect that basically gets you any card that you need from the graveyard off this card's effect. We then play just a single copy of So Cute Boss, just in case we make it in the deck. It doesn't come up all that often, but is a great one of in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Dueling as well. Dueling is a card that comes up all the time in this deck that has the ability, basically, this card gains 200 attack for each Ghostrick card you control, and then once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach a material from this card and then target a monster, face that monster on the field, and half its attack until the end phase of the turn. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one of the Ghostrick card in the grave and add that target back to your hand, which is a great effect for this card. We then play a single copy of F-Zero because we're going to use this card to go into our copy of Utopic Draco Future, which is super easy to summon, which you guys will definitely see the summon of this card in the test hands. I'm super excited to show you guys that. But this deck card is insanely good at just being a negate on the field. 1 copy of Double A Zeus because when all else fails, you can always Zeus. We play a single copy of Access Code Talker because Access Code Talker is really good in the deck to be able to pop multiple cards on the field. You don't have to play it. It's just kind of here just in case you can make it, but it's a pretty good card to play in the deck. If you want to cut it because you're looking to make this deck a little bit more budget, you totally can for other XZ cards. We play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff and a single copy of Phoenix to pop spells and traps, which is a really good lineup for this deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really amazing deck to be able to play around with. I can't wait for you guys to see the test hands. This deck is so insane to be able to play with, and I really love all the upgrades that this deck got because it's just such a cool deck to be able to play. It's really, really fun, and I really love this build, and I'm just super excited for you guys to see the test hand. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.